Joining us now is Mr. Kunle Adegoke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Principal Partner at Adegoke & Co. Good morning, SAN. Thank you for joining us on the morning show. Three quick issues. Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
In the studio. It's my pleasure to be with you this morning. Right.
Quickly. The Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, has upheld the decision of Justice Omotosho on January 22 in the matter of Rivers State and the governor and the 27 lawmakers. Three main issues. The facts not controverted are deemed admitted. 2, Section 91 of the Constitution dealing with quorum. Okay, that 2/3 of a House of Assembly must sit for the decision to be valid. 3, Section 109(1)(g), which talks about whether decampment, desertion is self-executory, although the Court of Appeal didn't pronounce on that. So we have a situation where it looks like Governor Fubara has been running an illegal budget in the eyes of the law. Now, what is next? What do you advise? What are the implications of the Court of Appeal upholding unanimously the decision of the Federal High Court presided over by Justice Omotosho?
Right, thank you very much. The situation in Rivers State is a raging inferno which may consume all those who are actually involved in this unnecessary crisis. And when you look at it, yes, we can say that there is a legal response that must come from the parties. There is equally a political response that must come from the parties. As of today, the position of the law as regards the legality of the budgets passed by or purportedly passed by the House of Assembly, by the 4 lawmakers who are pro-Governor Fubara, the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal is the state of the law as far as that issue is concerned. Any other issue that may not be decided by the Court of Appeal may still be left to be decided by the competent court of jurisdiction, but as regards the status of the budget, it is a nullity. The only court, which is a legal response now, that parties may take, is to take a step to the Supreme Court to decide whether the Court of Appeal is correct in its interpretation of the law or otherwise. With respect to the political response, I rather prefer that parties at this particular stage should please bury their personal ego, personal considerations, and rather allow the interests of Nigerians, the interests of indigents and citizens in Rivers State to please prevail. There is no crisis that will benefit the people. There is no crisis that will benefit the rule of law, that will benefit good governance. And if all parties are pretending to be Democrats and are claiming to be advocates of good governance, it is high time they buried their personal considerations and allow the interest of the people, the interest of the masses to prevail. Constitutionalism requires that every individual and institutions involved in a democratic process should allow the spirit of the Constitution to prevail. There is only one way to interpret the Constitution, more so when a court of law has pronounced on it. Any other alternative interpretation anybody may be urging will not be the correct position of the law. And with respect to the issue of the budget, the Court of Appeal has pronounced that is the position of the law as far as that is concerned as of today. And on that basis, I would rather implore that both legal and political responses should be fully considered by the parties to work towards the interest of the people of Rivers State and Nigerians in general. Because any Nigerian may find himself in Rivers State today or tomorrow. That means that he is equally a resident or a person present in the state whose interests may be affected one way or the other by the activities of the individuals involved in this crisis.
Thank you so much for your insights, and I'm glad you're emphasizing good governance and what the law says about this matter. Now, what does it mean in practical terms? Because, from the perspective of modalities, this budget has almost run its course. There's already talk of the 2025 budget. So understand what the judgment says, but translating into practical terms, what does this mean?
Yes, the decision of the Court of Appeal, which has nullified the budget, definitely will affect acts carried out in pursuance of the implementation of the budget. But majority of these acts can no longer be undone. Monies that have been spent on maybe construction of roads or bridges or whatever, which probably contractors have completed, contractors who were not involved in the origin of this crisis should not bear the punishment of the failure of people involved in government to properly coordinate their ego and bury their personal interests. And in this circumstance, there cannot be allowed to be a vacuum in law, and such acts that have been carried out ordinarily would not be set back by the decision of the court, which in any case probably, it is like saying that a court will not grant an injunction in respect of a completed act. For those things that have been done, it may be impossible to get them undone, but for those that are yet to be implemented, definitely the decision of the Court of Appeal has caught up with such plans, activities, and proposals of government that are yet to be implemented. On that basis, this decision has put an end to any such plans or preparations to carry out certain acts already stipulated in the budget and proposed to be executed in the performance of the business of our government. And in this circumstance, the implication is that the people, the dramatis personnel, who are the implementers of the Constitution, the implementers of the law, and a fortiori, the provisions contained in the budget, should allow the decision to take its full effect. Yes, a party may say, I'm going on appeal to the Supreme Court, which in any case will take a number of months before it will be decided. Parties will file the notice of appeal, compile records, file their briefs of argument, a date to be fixed and whatever. Yes, the Supreme Court may say, here is an urgent matter to be decided and therefore abridge time for anything to be done. But as it stands today, all these will not inure to the interest of the people. The decision has put an end to certain proposals, certain acts that are being planned to be carried out by the government insofar as the budget is concerned. Yes, a stay of execution may be filed or injunction pending appeal, because these are steps normally taken by lawyers in order to protect the immediate and long-term interests of their clients. But lawyers who are involved should equally advise their clients properly. I had featured on this television program sometimes probably earlier this year, where I advocated the position that with respect to those who decant to another party, yes, their seats might be deemed vacant, but that is not an issue. That it is still simply a matter of ego, a matter of political interest of the individuals involved that are actually dictating everything that is happening. And that is why it would be better at this stage. Yes, let us assume, let us take it that, okay, the Court of Appeal has pronounced. Why would it not be possible for parties to call themselves together and say at this stage, yes, let us follow the decision of the Court of Appeal. Let's allow the House of Assembly, as it was initially composed, to continue its operations, while the issue whether those who have decamped are still valid members of the House of Assembly is yet to be determined by the appropriate court before which the matter is pending. I do not very much see the possibility or likelihood of the decision of the Court of Appeal rendered yesterday to be overturned by the Supreme Court, considering the fundamental issues considered by the sound panel that delivered that decision, because they took into consideration what role did the appellants play at the level of the High Court when the matter came up.
Okay.
If the appellant, could claim, assuming the appellant could claim that it was not served with the processes that originated the case, it wasn't aware, it would have been a different thing. Then we could say probably the
okay, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
obtained the judgment
can you hear me, sir?
or otherwise.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, very much, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
the
sir.
Rivers State government has insisted that the Court of Appeal judgment yesterday in Abuja did not reinstate Martin Amaole-led faction. In fact, in a statement by the Attorney General, Israel Adegoke in Port Harcourt, the government clarified that Amaole and 26 others had defected on the 11th of December, 2023, and added that their seat became vacant automatically from the defection. The Attorney General insisted that the issue of defection of Amaole and 26 others were never brought before the High Court and the Court of Appeal in Abuja, and therefore no court should legitimize their membership of the House of Assembly on the basis of the defection. What's your take on this reaction by the Rivers State Attorney General? Because they're saying now that this case is about the budget, right. It's not about Amaole and, how the Amaole has now been legitimized of some sort. They're saying, oh, this is about the budget. And right. The reason that they also cited why they threw most of their processes out of court was because that was after a peace agreement that was held. And it was a term of the peace agreement, but obviously, in a clever way, the Amaole faction did not pull out their process from the court when Fubara did by meeting the term of his own peace agreement.
Right. I think the press is better informed with respect to what was actually decided yesterday by the Court of Appeal. The press had its own representatives there who listened from the beginning to the end and who probably even recorded verbatim everything that the Court of Appeal pronounced or did. And in that circumstance, definitely you gentlemen are likely to be better informed by majority of us who are out here pontificating on what the court decided and what it did not decide. And taking the statement made by Dr. Abati earlier this morning to the effect that the Court of Appeal did not pronounce on the legality or otherwise of the status of the party that decide whether their seats had been vacated or otherwise in this particular decision under review. If that is the correct position of what the Court of Appeal actually did, definitely that issue is still a live issue before another court. What I understood and I still believe is the cause of action in this current case was the fact that the 27 lawmakers challenged the validity of the acts carried out by the pro-Fubara lawmakers. I don't think they put in among the issues whether their membership of the House could be deemed to have been terminated as a result of their decamping from their political party PDP to APC or otherwise. If that issue was not raised in the case and was not categorically pronounced upon by the decision of the Court of Appeal of yesterday, which I am yet to get a copy to read, definitely that issue a court of law cannot be presumed to have determined an issue that was not submitted to it for its determination.
Okay,
in actual fact, it is forbidden. It is, right, sir?
Yeah, that's clear. A court of law is
yes,
not Father Christmas. But you mentioned something about political solution.
As the complices.
Yeah, you mentioned the point about political solution. What political solution will you recommend in the light of the fact that you have said it's not likely that the Supreme Court will overturn the decision of the Court of Appeal? What political solution do you have in mind?
Yes, this is a situation where there is a crisis, where there is a disagreement among a people. It is very necessary that they they call themselves to order. Those who are pro-Wike and the Honorable Minister himself, the former Governor Wike, and the present Governor Fubara, they all came from the same family, or the PDP family originally. Along the line, disagreements came, whether as a result of who should control what or who should determine what. At this stage, that it is very clear that nobody is really the victor or the vanquished. because the decision of the Court of Appeal has not said, okay, well, the governor has not been removed from office, his tenure has not been determined in any way. The implication is that for so long as he is interested in continuing the fight, taking the matter to the Supreme Court, and until it is decided by the Supreme Court, this issue of validity of budget or otherwise will continue being a live issue, that the parties will continue fighting. The implication is that it might become pretty impossible to continue implementing the budget, because an average person who wants to probably render service to the government will be afraid now. What if the budget is ultimately nullified before I'm able to recoup my money, before my services are paid for? Then they will withdraw their services, they will withdraw from rendering service to the government. And the government cannot compel people to render services when they are not too sure of what will be the outcome of such a contract they are entering into. The implication is that the grass that will suffer will be the people of Rivers State. When Wike and Fubara were best of friends, the question might be asked, were the people of Rivers benefiting from the relationship? But at least we still believe, no matter how little, if they are running the government, people will still benefit in one way or the other. But by the time the crisis is consuming the implementation of the budget, is consuming the possibility of running the government effectively as it should be done, then definitely the people have no benefit in such a process. It is categorically clear that the people that will suffer are the masses, are the people of the state. In such a situation, each person who has taken an oath in government at one time or the other promised to abide by the Constitution, to serve the people and not to serve himself. All this they are doing is self-service. It is not service to the people. And that is why I say a political solution must be explored. People, elders in Rivers, who are supposed to prevail on the two parties, the one that is recalcitrant, who wants to fight to the end, definitely is not a worthy leader. And that is when people themselves are supposed to come together and realize that whether I'm pro-Wike or I'm pro-Fubara may not benefit the people. So a political solution of burying the hatchets, of resolving the disputes, let us give and take, and let governance continue in Rivers State is the solution.
Mr. Adegoke, elders, although these elders, many of them are compromised, they've taken sides in the matter. Maybe President Tinubu should return from his working vacation and, save the situation in Rivers so that we don't have a 1965 Western Region situation on our hands. Thank you very much, Mr. Adegoke SAN.